Welcome to the Tuesday, March 22nd, 2017 meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. Tonight our invocation will be led by Pastor Fred Nicholson, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand with me.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you today for this opportunity to come before you, and God, we just bless you for who you are. You are the Lord God Almighty, and we know it, and because of it, Lord God, we worship you. You have commanded us to do that. I pray tonight, Lord God, that every board member, Lord God, would open their heart to you, and God, they would be susceptible and accept whatever you speak in their hearts. I thank you, Lord God, that we're well able to receive tonight the blessings of the Lord. And I pray, Lord God, that you would continue to be with them in whatever resolution or ordinance or whatever it is that you've put before them tonight. Lord, they would seek your guidance and they would go for whatever you say or speak in their hearts. Lord, we just pray and we thank you that you've already declared in your word that we can do nothing without you. And God, because you've declared that, we know it and we believe it. And so we open this meeting up tonight that you would come, that you would be here, your presence would be felt. And Lord, we thank you for the opportunity that we have. You declared in your word that the weight of the government is upon your shoulder. And God, I thank you that we don't have to be burdened down with the decisions we make. But God, we go to you and we hear your voice and we allow you to speak. And I thank you for that. And God, we pray tonight that you would just be in this meeting. We would connect and we would know that you're here. And we praise you for it and give you glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hereby call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Davidson.
Here.
Jones. Jones. Williams.
Here.
Ramick.
Here.
Foley.
Here.
Clark.
Here. Our first item will be to consider the approval of the agenda. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda, including items, if any, to be removed from the consent agenda?
Madam Mayor, it occurred to me that the former mayor is not going to be traveling to Washington, D.C., and we've scheduled for 2 board members to go. Can we put that on the agenda for discussion, see if somebody can replace that position?
Sure. It'd be first, so be item 12, the new 12.
Okay, thank you. That's a motion, I guess. Is that right?
I'll second it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion adopted.
Move the agenda be approved as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Is accepted. Next, we'll consider the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting held on March 7th, 2017. Directors, are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the minutes? Sir.
Madam Mayor, I would move for approval of the minutes for that
Second.
meeting.
Okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion adopted. First of all, I would like to make a brief announcement that our good friend and fellow board member Elaine Jones' husband passed away this last week, and our condolences go out to her and their family. And the funeral will be tomorrow at Eureka Baptist Church with visitation the hour before that, starting at 11, funeral at noon. So our hearts go out to Elaine. In an effort to afford everyone an equal and orderly opportunity to address the items on tonight's agenda, I want to remind our citizens and guests that we adhere to a 3-minute limit on comments. For your convenience, we will display a clock timer on the monitors above. Out of respect for all of us, we ask that you honor this request. While members of the board may have questions of the speakers, I ask that any general comments be reserved for the board discussion after all of the speakers have been heard. As a reminder, would everyone please speak into the microphone so that everything can be heard by those attending and viewing the meeting at home. We also ask that all cell phones be silenced during the meeting. Please refrain from any disruptions of the meeting. Should you need to leave prior, please do so quietly and not disrupt everyone else who's still here and business going on. We certainly thank you all for being here. We appreciate your interest in the business of the city. Thank you. And now we will hear our city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First up tonight, I want to call on Deputy City Manager Bill Burrow to introduce a new former employee.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier and members of the board. Tonight I'd like to introduce Danny Carter. Danny, you want to come on out? Danny Carter is our new stormwater manager, and Danny is Danny's been with us before. Actually, in 2006, Danny is the one who wrote our stormwater program. He was our stormwater manager from 2006 to 2010, and has most recently served in our engineering department for the past 3 years. So, though Danny is new, he is an old hand with us at the City of Hot Springs, and we're pleased to have him back in this role. Danny is one of those responsible for having an award-winning stormwater program that is recognized as the leader in the state of Arkansas. So, Danny, I'd like to introduce you to the board.
Pretty much, I worked for Garland County from 2006 to 2004 to 2006. Then I came on board with the city as a stormwater manager. So a lot of familiar faces, and I look forward to working with all y'all again. So thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Glad to have you.
Good to see you again, Danny.
Good seeing you.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Directors and citizens of Hot Springs. As I was preparing my first State of the City report this afternoon, I got a call from one of our directors who encouraged me to make sure that my remarks this evening were boring. And my first reaction to that was I was pleased that the director thought I needed encouragement in that area. And then after more reflection, I was even more pleased that there was a presupposition that what I might say this evening would be interesting. So I think it's a win either way. But I appreciate the support and the chance to be here tonight. It's my pleasure to present the annual State of the City report to the Board of Directors and the citizens of Hot Springs. This document highlights the financial and administrative activities of the city during the past year. Having completed my first year of service to the city as of next Thursday, I wanted to share some impressions before going into greater detail about specific programs and accomplishments. First, the state of the city is strong, and it is particularly so when compared to the past 15 years of achievements in the city's recent history. The city board, administration, various departments, and employees at every level are working well together as a team and diligently toward the accomplishment of goals and priorities while remaining committed to excellent customer relations in the dozens of public services the city delivers every day. While the city has experienced a remarkable year of achievement, we still face some significant challenges ahead, such as constructing a new water plant, building out a new radio system, completing an overall master plan for the Majestic Hotel property, and making important transportation improvements. The good news is we have a plan for every one of these challenges. The bad news, which I prefer to characterize as unresolved challenges, is primarily finding sustainable funding at higher levels for things like street maintenance and improvements, parks, and a viable urban renewal program that could help transform certain areas of the city. Overall, it's been a great year for the city of Hot Springs. Now for some details. Downtown redevelopment and investment continued at a rapid pace throughout 2016. The increased momentum extended the city's Thermal Basin Gateway corridors, particularly Malvern, Park, and Whittington Avenues, as the city's Complete Streets team planned and coordinated projects to connect green spaces, reduce stormwater runoff, and provide equal accessibility. Construction in 2016 included bike lanes, flashing pedestrian signals, rain gardens, access ramps, sidewalk repairs, bus shelters, additional sidewalks, and the current redevelopment of the Craighead parking lot. Partnerships with neighborhood associations, schools, and groups such as People Helping Others Excel by Example, and that's Phoebe for those of you that are challenged to remember it, that are rehabilitating the historic John L. Webb House at the Gateway neighborhood to help solve infrastructure problems, improve access, and protect cultural resources. Valley Street is another area being transformed through public improvements and have spurred additional private investment. The Transportation Alternative Program, which we call TAP grants, awarded in 2016, along with other funding, will help build the next 1,450 feet of the Hot Springs Greenway Trail, along with the trail spur at the beginning of the southern trail portion of the Greenway. Two separate public-private partnerships are driving the phased development of David Watkins Park on Park Avenue and Alley's Wonderland, a barrier-free park on Greenwood Street. A total of $2.5 million in grant-funded improvement projects were awarded in 2016 and are planned for completion in 2017, including a number of projects in the Whittington Valley area. The average city funding is only 18% of total project cost, and this is made possible in part because the Community Development Block Grant funding does not require a local match. Also, adoption of the Thermal Basin Fire District in late 2013 continues to be a catalyst for downtown building safety. To date, a total of 28 occupancies have been properly separated and protected within the 24 multi-story downtown structures identified as unsafe. Sprinkler system installation, means of egress improvements, building sales, remodeling, stabilization, and demolition have all occurred as a result of enforcement efforts within the district. The Hot Springs Fire Department continues to work with downtown property owners throughout the district to preserve legacy structures when possible while protecting public health and safety. In 2016, $14.8 million in real estate sales generated 25 new downtown businesses with an overall downtown capital investment exceeding $18 million. These numbers reflect a sharp increase compared to only $8 million in real estate transactions, generating 18 new businesses opening downtown in 2015. Today, there are virtually no vacant structures downtown, and redevelopment projects continue to be stimulated by the extension of the city's building permit fee holiday. The former Thompson building underwent an $8 million 16-month renovation and is now open as the Waters Hotel. This hotel is leading the way toward a more upper floor downtown development and reuse of historic structures. Also within the past year, the Gateway intersection of Malvern Avenue and Convention Boulevard was partially transformed after the former Austin Hotel was extensively renovated and renamed the Hotel Hot Springs. Across the street, new Regions Bank building was dedicated along with a historic water trough fountain and an expansive plaza that punctuates this downtown gateway. The plaza and fountain exemplify the vision and planning partnerships between Regions Bank and the Hot Springs Parks and Trails Department. To further the transformation of this area, the Embassy Suites Hotel completed a major remodel at the other end of Hot Springs Convention Center. Increased nighttime lighting along with the completion of the wayfinding trail linking Hot Springs Greenway with the National Park Service Grand Promenade augment the safety and connectivity of this intersection to the surrounding area. Also on the education front, institutions like National Park College, Henderson State University, Lakeside High School, and Arkansas School for Mathematics, Sciences, and the Arts are forging alliances that focus on degree attainment and collaboration among these institutions. One such partnership involves the city's Sport Recreation Department and enables National Park College to offer, for the first time, intramural sports, promoting student loyalty and school spirit, as well as greater utilization of the city's parks resources. Similarly, the city has engaged recently with ASMSA to exchange values and ideas and future possibilities for the nearby Majestic Hotel property, which is actually on your agenda this evening. And you probably see ASMSA's letter in your packet, so you know that the collaboration is genuine. These alliances help produce a more educated workforce. They increase economic opportunity and attract additional investment and improvements in our community. Where the partially burned Majestic Hotel complex once stood, an attractive green space and mountain backdrop have now emerged. Specialized companies have been contracted to remove the yellow brick rubble, demolish and remove their remaining structures, and contour and hydroseed the cleared space. They completed their efforts on time and under budget. A comprehensive site assessment will soon be conducted to ensure that all hazardous materials have been eliminated. And in partnership with Kansas State University, the city will seek public ideas for site redevelopment through a strategic planning and redevelopment visioning process. The Majestic property offers a transformative opportunity for the community that, if executed properly, could have a significant positive impact on the region. The board reached an important consensus at its February 17th retreat on 4 guiding values that should be employed for the future development of the property. These are that the Majestic project shall, 1, enhance economic opportunities, 2, improve the local quality of life and enhance the visitor experience, 3, celebrate the natural wonder of our thermal waters, and last, respect the arts, culture, and history of Hot Springs. These are not in order, they're all equally important, but I just want to assure the board and the community that we take those seriously, and so that any projects or ideas that come forward, as well as all of our work on the site, will be filtered through those 4 values and try to achieve them to the extent that we can. 2016 also saw the promotion of 2 city staff members in key positions, airport director and police chief, after a nationwide recruitment effort. Glenn Barentine, airport director, promptly secured FAA funding for an airport master plan update that will guide Hot Springs Memorial Field's long-term development plans. After Seaport Air ended essential air service operations in September, the Department of Transportation selected Southern Airways Express to provide Hot Springs with service to Dallas-Fort Worth. While 3 flights a day are scheduled, Southern Airways will begin these flights in April. However, there are some concerns that the EAS program may be reduced or eliminated in the federal budget process. Even so, they represent roughly 6 of our flight operations per day, and we currently have hundreds of flight operations, and EAS makes up a very small portion of our budget. So if EAS funding goes away, we're still going to have a viable, highly functioning airport that's important to our future. Also, I want to mention that Police Chief Jason Stacey is off to a great start in leading change at the Hot Springs Police Department. He implemented crime reduction initiatives, including Operation 8 Ball, a multi-agency effort resulting in the arrest of 53 individuals for drug trafficking. This was the largest single arrest event in the history of Garland County. Creating a special investigation unit, including a drug unit and full-time nuisance abatement detective, are also landmark achievements in the department, all without increasing his budget. He also implemented procedural justice training, detecting and correcting crime reporting deficiencies, and ensuring that those statistics are in compliance with state and federal law. We also added a bomb detection canine unit and converted to 12-hour patrol shifts, phased in body-worn cameras, and increased community outreach. Those are just a few of the things that they have done. And more recently, Operation Thunderstruck, and I don't get to make these names up. These are somewhere in the chief's office, I think. I don't know how they come up with these. I hear the story after the fact, and it's always fascinating. But Operation Thunderstruck netted additional 48 felony arrests. So now we're looking at a total of almost 100 felony suspects removed from the city of Hot Springs in just 5.5 months. So that's a monumental achievement, and we are well on our way to our department becoming the finest law enforcement municipal agency in the state, which was the first goal that I gave the chief on the day that I appointed him. On to the radio system. So in November, the board approved plans for a comprehensive citywide public safety radio communications system. And I can't fail to mention that Mayor Carney, who's not here with us tonight, we had a unanimous vote that night. And we're not known for unanimity, at least we haven't been in the past. And I think that took a lot of courage and collaboration among the board. That is primarily funded by a 2-year levy of 2.6 mils of ad valorem taxes. The newly approved request for proposals on this project was issued to vendors on February 24th. And in July 2016, the board also adopted the Downtown Economic Development and Redevelopment Action Plans. These were followed by adoption of the Parking, Pedestrian, and Bicycle Enhancements Plan in November. These strategic plans provide recommended actions that the city can take that will enhance the economic vitality, function, safety, and the aesthetic appeal of our downtown. Another key long-range document is the Green Infrastructure Landscape Plan, which now provides detailed strategies to protect, restore, and expand and connect the city's natural assets to contribute to the environmental and economic health of the community. The City of Hot Springs continues to explore quality of life amenities that tap into the burgeoning adventure tourism industry. A feasibility study was recently completed for the 1,700-acre Northwoods property around the Lakeside Water Treatment Plant, an important natural asset with tremendous potential. I want to remind the board as well that my assistant, Sheila Winter, will be scheduling a field trip for all of us to go up to Northwoods in between the leaves coming out and chigger season, in the words of the city attorney. And I'm learning a lot more about chiggers now that I've gotten here in Arkansas, but we're looking forward to getting you up there because, I can describe it and show you pictures. You just have to see it to believe it. And I can't wait till our citizens and visitors get a chance to see this amazing natural wonder that here exists in our community. Just a few hundred steps from downtown. It's just something to see. The study examines the area's future outdoor adventure recreation potential and recommends ways to ensure its long-term financial viability. Visit Hot Springs is partnering with International Mountain Biking Association, who's already developed a number of conceptual plans and trails that ultimately will lead to a master plan that could facilitate mountain biking and local recreation opportunities. In 2016, the City of Hot Springs continued to make steady progress in creating suitable living environments, promoting affordable housing initiatives, and encouraging job growth throughout the Community Development Block Grant Program. A total of $265,000 was expended through projects benefiting more than 4,000 low to moderate income citizens. Also, one of the board's enduring goals is securing a long-term water source and ensuring that adequate potable water supply for the demands of today, as well as future generations, gets accomplished sometime in the next 2 years. Currently, these efforts have culminated in notification earlier this month of approval of the draft storage agreement for Lake Ouachita. This achievement paves the way for execution on sub-allocation agreements with other water providers throughout Arkansas and our region that should help secure adequate water supply for Hot Springs for most of the next century. The Board of Directors also adopted and amended a water connection policy in October that guarantees service and clarifies public expectations by establishing criteria for connecting to the city's water system. Since the board's current policy was adopted, city staff have approved 96 of 97 applications, over 60 of those in unincorporated Garland County outside the city limits. This is a 99% approval rate and is the highest percentage of approval I have witnessed in my career as a city manager. Higher, I would say, than most cities who normally serve only areas inside the city limits. So, on to road improvements. In 2016, 25 city streets were paved at a cost of $550,000, including, this only covered 4 miles, though. That tells you how expensive road improvements can be. In addition, $136,000 was allocated to complete streets road improvement projects. Unfortunately, Garland County's elimination of the city's annual road millage continues to take a $350,000 bite out of street repairs each year. Right now, that cut is more than $1 million and growing. The board will have to consider future street revenue alternatives if these funds are not restored in the near future. The Pave It Forward county road tax approved by voters in 2016 is estimated to yield $7.3 million for the city, collected over approximately a 5-year period. The following potential projects could be partially funded from the city's portion of the tax. Airport Road, that's Highway 70 MLK intersection and on-off ramp improvements. Weston Road and Albert Pike, traffic signal installation. Higdon Ferry, MLK intersection and off-ramp improvements. Belding Road extension to Malvern. Increased city overlay funds, and also we can use this for matching grant funds. An example would be for an investment of about $200,000 out here on the Malvern Gateway project that you've seen presentations on could generate about $1 million in grant money. So it's a pretty good investment way to leverage additional money from money that's already been raised in the community. So I want to talk now a little bit about some economic indicators. I'm excited to share that the economic indicators we measure show that there's considerable growth achieved throughout 2016. We've been blessed over the past few years in all of the measurable indicators, from steady increases in sales tax revenue and building permits to infrastructure development that provides building blocks for the future and sustains and enhances our quality of life. Place matters more than ever for achieving sustained economic development, and Hot Springs continues to be a preferred place for citizens and visitors. The city's namesake thermal springs, natural beauty, and world-class recreational offerings make travel and tourism an integral part of our local economy. A 3.47% increase over prior year collections for the advertising and promotion tax supports 7,500 jobs within the travel and tourism industry in Hot Springs. Visitor spending generated more than $57 million in tax revenue for state and local governments, making the area the second highest recipient of tourism dollars in Arkansas and the highest on a per capita basis. City sales tax collections also demonstrated robust growth of 4.29% compared to the previous year. The majority of city services are dependent on a 1.5 cent sales tax, which also supports police and fire protection. The local unemployment rate dropped to 4.3%, down from 5.6% during the previous year. And new businesses licenses totaled 357, representing a 4% increase. Oaklawn Racing and Gaming began its 113th live thoroughbred racing season and continues to be one of the top destinations in the country. Revenue from games of skill showed a 7.8% increase, providing $1.8 million in revenue to the city. Oaklawn has stimulated job growth and collected taxes both directly and indirectly from the racing and gaming industry. We're grateful for their partnership. The building and development sector has also shown steady gains on multiple fronts at the Garland County level, according to the Arkansas Realtor Association. New and existing home sales were flat compared to the previous year. However, the average sales price rose almost 2%. Another indication that the new construction market remains on the path to recovery is evidenced by the 45 new residential building permits with a valuation of $14.5 million and 322 residential remodel permits with a valuation of $4.4 million. So it's a lot more expensive to build new than to remodel. That's what I get from that. Just kidding, because Sheila's in the process of building a new house, and I empathize with her. Commercial building had 17 new permits with a valuation of just under $7 million and 236 commercial remodeling permits with a valuation of $14.3 million. Some of the larger commercial projects opening in 2016 with the city included $26 million, 67,000 square foot National Park, Heart and Vascular Center, and the Walmart Neighborhood Market in Indiandale Shopping Center. In 2016, the Planning and Development Department issued 3,736 permits, totaling $49.5 million in citywide construction activity. Historic downtown Hot Springs continues its popularity as a vibrant place to live, work, and play. In 2016, the area saw almost $17 million in capital investment, including 25 new business startups. As mentioned, the jewel of this activity is the newly opened Waters Hotel, located in the historic Thompson Building. This 62-room boutique hotel is situated in the heart of our downtown, directly across from Bathhouse Row. It features The Avenue, which is a new restaurant that I'm taking my wife to for dinner tomorrow night, and I will give you my critique thereafter. But they have an award-winning chef there who is a young man with lots of enthusiasm, and so we're excited to have them here in Hot Springs contributing to our economy. Hot Springs should be extremely proud of these accomplishments. I'm optimistic about the outlook for 2017 and beyond. We are committed to working with our citizens and business leaders to ensure that Hot Springs continues to grow and thrive while contributing to the overall strength of our regional and state economy. 2016 was indeed a fast-paced, challenging, and highly productive year punctuated by milestone achievements. In some cases, these achievements were the culmination of years of planning, partnerships, negotiations, and innovation. Our loyal city employees, through their daily efforts, make vital contributions to the health, safety, and welfare of our city. Their talent and resourcefulness, combined with a dedicated team of department heads and the leadership of our board, help keep Hot Springs moving forward. At this time, I'd like to ask our department directors who are seated here. Some of them are not here because they had vacations or off on illnesses and recovering, but many of them are here, and I'd like to ask them to stand and be recognized. Thank you. The other day, my wife asked me what my favorite thing about my job was and what my favorite thing about Hot Springs was. I had to tell her, well, honestly, it's the chance that I have every day to work with people of the highest honor and integrity. And two of those people are here tonight with me. I also want to thank Mr. Albright. He's been a delight to work with, highly competent professional attorney that I have great respect for, and also Mr. Spicer. Thank you for your service. The two people that keep me grounded on a daily basis and help me get things done for you, Bill Burrow, Sheila Winter. Thank you so much. A vital partner in the city's continued growth and success is the enthusiasm and engagement of our citizens. Their creative ideas, thoughtful participation, and volunteer spirit are the impetus for constructive change and improvement that benefits our city as a whole. Last week there was an event that happened that kind of discouraged me a little bit, and I would happen to be with Bill Burrow, and we're driving through a neighborhood, and it's one of those neighborhoods that we think needs some help. You know, it's an older neighborhood, it's a little bit dilapidated, but the people there have a great spirit. And we're driving through there, and Bill said something inspiring. He said, you know, I do this. Why I do this? I do this for these guys. And he pointed to those houses, people that I'm sure he knows because he knows everybody in the city. Anyway, I want to say that you can see this on full display in many of our neighborhood associations, our numerous outstanding civic clubs, churches, chamber of commerce, volunteer organizations throughout the community. Our strength lies in our citizens. I also want to thank each of you board members and our former Mayor Ruth Carney for your steadfast leadership and commitment to service, and for making my first year in Hot Springs a positive and professionally rewarding experience. God bless Hot Springs. Thank you.
Thank you, David. All that good news.
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to say on a personal note, I found your first State of the City report to be anything but boring. I can't possibly think that a director would say something like that, you know, be boring. But
TV show start?
But I do want to say,
said enough.
I do want to say this. I think, you know, I can't believe it's been a year already. You have been an excellent representative for this city.
Thank you, sir.
Your agendas don't reflect this because the recipient at the last minute was unable to attend, but I decided I wanted to read the proclamation anyway because it's important and it's timely. It's pretty brief, too. So this is a proclamation, but it's going to be mailed to the recipients this year. Welcome home, Vietnam veterans. Whereas Vietnam Veterans Day commemorates the sacrifice of Vietnam veterans and their families, and whereas Vietnam Veterans Day is part of a national effort to recognize the men and women who were denied a proper welcome upon returning home more than 40 years ago, and whereas on that day in 1973, the last combat troops were withdrawn from Vietnam, and the last prisoners of war held in North Vietnam arrived on American soil. And whereas it is also the date President Nixon chose for the first Vietnam Veterans Day in 1974. Now, therefore, I, Becca Clark, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim March 29th, 2017 as Vietnam Veterans Day in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I might not get to do any more proclamations, so this is my one. Do directors have any announcements concerning upcoming events? Suzanne.
It's not really an upcoming event unless hopefully there's another week of spring break from somewhere, because the last 2 full weeks, if you haven't been downtown, it takes you 20 to 30 minutes to get through Central Avenue from the Fountain to Grand, and it is just packed. And people are running in and about between. So please be careful out there, because folks are not always obeying those crosswalks and everything. But it is so exciting. It just appears this way to me that it's a good measure more than we've seen in the last couple of years, and I think it's really exciting. That's it. So hopefully we have one more week from somewhere. I don't know.
Big crowds.
Mayor, I'd like to report that last Saturday at Oaklawn Park, the attendance was 36,000, and I understand the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the shortest parade, was 1.5 million.
Yes. Yes, that was my decree. Exactly. It's official. Anything else? Okay. The next item of business is a consideration of the consent agenda. Items in this section are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business without discussion. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, I move for adoption of the consent agenda.
Have a second?
Second?
Please call the roll.
Davidson,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Raymond,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
and Clark.
Aye. It's adopted, but I want to go ahead and announce a few of these things because I think these are really important. Some of these are resolutions appointing people to the commissions and committees, and a couple of them I think are here tonight too. We are appointing John Hopkins to the Hot Springs Civil Service Commission. John's here? Yeah. Hey, yay. We are appointing June Simmons and Carol Catchin to the Hot Springs Arts Advisory Committee. I don't know if they're here, but we thank them for their service. And we're appointing LaDante Walker to the Hot Springs Transportation Advisory Committee. And we're appointing Michael Petty to the Hot Springs Advertising and Promotion Commission. So. These are big time-consuming jobs, and we appreciate everyone's volunteering to take this on. And I just have to say, I see Jason back here, that we are extending our franchise agreement with JJ's Pedicab. So congratulations. Glad you're here. All right, so on to new business. We are adding, is there a resolution number for this
There's
one,
not a resolution.
Counselor?
It's
Okay.
be an item up for discussion. If someone wants to make a motion relative to the discussion, Director
This
Hawley.
is the one you
By
mentioned.
motion, you just mean fidget in the chair, or I don't know what protocol is here to add this, but it occurred to me that with Mayor Carney resigning, that we had a vacancy for a participant in the chamber visit to Washington, D.C., and we had approved 2, so I'd like just to have some discussion about anybody's willingness to go in her stead.
I cannot go. I have a commitment. I teach 2 days a week at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock's Benton campus, and so I would be unable to do this.
I am unable to go also.
Me too. Not able. Suzanne, you're going already?
Yes.
Okay. Yes?
Director Ramick?
Yes, I think I'm the only one left, so I'll take the vacant seat.
Take that empty seat. Okay.
Save the city the money from the non-refundable tickets.
In that circumstance, lacking further discussion, I would propose that our move that we substitute Director Ramick into that position.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you. for
Motion
doing that.
carried. The next item of business is to consider Resolution R-1747. Counselor, please read the resolution by title.
Resolution R-1747, a resolution establishing the schedule for the selection process for filling the vacancy of the Hot Springs Board of Directors, position 7. That's the mayor. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion and a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I know this one. Thank you, Madam Mayor. This item is for the board to essentially approve the recruitment schedule for the vacancy that does exist in the position 7, which is the mayor's position. And essentially what we have here is a schedule that starts out with the application packets, which are pursuant to Resolution 7236. That's the board's adopted policy on filling any vacancies. And so what we have is the packets will be made available should the board approve this resolution Wednesday morning, with the packets being due back to the city clerk's office by April the 11th at noon. And essentially the schedule that was listed in the board's packet does have a couple dates in there that are obviously subject to change if things do change. However, we feel like this does provide adequate time for the applicants to gather the approximate the information. There are 50 qualified signatures to be included on a nomination petition. There is also an application that is essentially the same as the folks filled out for the boards and commissions. There's a statement of financial interest and anything that they would like to include within their application packet, such as a professional resume or achievements thereof. So, like I said, the packets, they are constructed and ready to go, and they will be ready at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
This is in your office here at City Hall.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to say one thing.
Yes.
For those who are in the audience that may be considering applying for this position, or for those who may be viewing tonight, in addition to the normal things that people see us do, like, presiding and greeting groups, the mayor also, and I've been trying to ascertain this, but it is on at least 4 other boards that I'm aware of. The mayor serves on the Hot Springs Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. Suzanne, you're a member. How often does that board meet? Every other month?
Quarterly.
Quarterly, okay. The mayor is also on the board of the Metropolitan Task Force. I said that wrong. Partnership, thank you. Chamber Board. Also, there's a board called the Garland County Intergovernmental Cooperation Council, which meets annually, and the mayor is required to attend those meetings. So, and there may be others that we're unaware, but whoever applies for this position needs to be willing to commit the time that is involved with it, and then there's more to the job that meets the eye.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, in looking at this schedule, I understand the need for the applicant to have time to garner significant signatures, but it looks like after we have after they've turned it in, we should receive the packets within 3 days, during which time I'm assuming that the clerk will ascertain the validity of the signatures. But then we have a large gap, 11 days for us to have, for the board to have a meeting in executive session, review the information, and select applicants for interviews, and then to interview the finalists. So that's a total of almost, that's at least a month. I'm wondering if we can cut that down. I know it's going to depend on the number of applicants that we receive, but if there's any way that we can expedite this, I think for the community, this is an important position, and to the extent that this board can get the information and collectively, we're going to executive session anyway, so it's on our schedule, that we couldn't expedite this process as quickly as possible. I guess it's going to be driven by the number of applicants we receive, but to wait 11 days just for us to review the information seems like an awfully long time. So my suggestion is that, I'm willing to accept this schedule, but not hard and fast that makes it drag out. If the applicants are at a reasonable number, which remains undefined, if we can move the executive sessions to review these applications earlier, I think the community would appreciate it.
I think there's flexibility.
Sure.
Do that right.
With respect to not only the board's calendar, but the calendar of those who might be applying, perhaps we could move the interviews up to the 25th of April instead of waiting until the 9th of
That'd be
May.
Mm-hmm.
That way, you'll at least be on notice that the individuals who might be applying need to make themselves available for that date for interviews.
All right, and if the mayor needs to call an executive session between now and then, I think we'd all be willing to assemble for that.
Yeah.
And I would just ask that if we do it during the day, that I do have a teaching commitment through the end of April. So, if it wasn't during the day on Tuesday or Thursdays.
What about like 6 in the morning? Could
I can't make that one. Me either. Prior commitment.
The other thing is we have a step in this process that includes an executive session, review the information, and then select applicants for interviews. I can understand the forethought thinking, well, if you have 25 applications, you cannot interview all of them. But to the extent that we have a manageable number, that we really do interview all of the applicants rather than screen them. That would be my preference. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
So you would be able to conduct those on the 25th rather than waiting until May. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have any objections to that.
Fine.
Okay.
For purposes of clarity and the board's action that you're taking tonight, would you care to place that in the form of a motion that the calendar, the tentative calendar, be amended as you have so stated?
I would so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
The amendment passes. Now you can either have further discussion on the underlying motion or call the roll on it.
Any further discussion? Okay. Lance, would you call the roll?
Yes. Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
It is adopted.
Thank you, Mayor.
The next item of business is to consider Resolution R-1748. Council, please read the resolution by title.
Resolution R-1748, a resolution awarding an annual supply contract to U.S. Lawn for mowing and ground maintenance at parks and trails areas. That concludes your reading. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
So moved.
Second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Ms. Yates.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Doretha Yates, Finance Director for the city. And the item currently before you is a request to approve an annual supply contract to U.S. Lawn for mowing and maintenance services for all the parks and their associated areas. We issued a bid for the annual supply contract, and 6 bids were received. The U.S. Lawn is the one that we're requesting approval to award the annual supply contract to, and they were the second lowest responsive bidder for these areas. The lowest responsive bidder actually had the contract this past year, and there was some issues with performance, and also we were increasing the number of areas, so we were concerned that they don't or would not be able to handle this. So our request is to award the annual supply contract to the second lowest responsive bidder, which is U.S. Lawns.
Questions? Ms. Yates? Any other discussion? Okay. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Ramick,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
It is adopted.
Thank you. The next item of business is to consider resolution number R-1749. Council, please read the resolution by title.
Resolution R-1749, a resolution adopting the Hot Springs Board of Directors' 2-year goals. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay. Yes, Mr. Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. On February 17, 2017, the mayor and the board of directors conducted a goal-setting retreat to identify, review, and prioritize important issues facing the community, both now and in the future. Review and discussion of those issues led to the development of 8 goals, which the mayor and board of directors feel extensive and focused concentration is needed to maintain and improve the quality of life of all the citizens and visitors of Hot Springs. Though some of these goals may require a longer period than 2 years to accomplish, these following 8 goals will guide staff decisions and budget priorities over the next 2 years. Continue planning for the redevelopment of the Majestic property. Complete the radio communication system improvement project. Finalize and design water supply agreements and infrastructure facilities. Design and initiate wastewater treatment plant improvements. Enhance neighborhood services. Implement downtown plan as well as a parking authority. Improve rights-of-way management practices and advance the Northwoods project. Those are the 8 goals that the board had consensus on during that retreat, and tonight we bring to you a resolution to formally adopt those. Thank you.
Thank you. Directors, questions?
I have just a short, I got to receive this email today. It's not very long, just 2 short paragraphs, if I may. Mr. Williams, I cannot attend the Board of Directors meeting tonight, but I have read resolutions R17, 49, and 50. Both seem straightforward, thoughtful, and a great basis to build on for Hot Springs, neighborhoods, and visitors. I wanted to add my support, especially since so many are expressing opposition to many things that help move Hot Springs forward. We met several years ago at Cedar Glades Park. I did not know who you were at the time, but I have great appreciation now for your push to develop the area. Many of my family enjoy walking the trails. My mother really liked the paved walking wheelchair area, and she asked me to take her there at least once or twice a week. My aunt could not walk, but she also loved for me to take her to watch the RC planes. It is just a great place for many levels of activity. Sincerely, Janice Jones, 109 Kearney Street, District 1.
I got a message from her also.
Okay.
I do too. She took the time to personalize every one of those. I'm impressed. Good for her.
Janice?
Gee, and I felt so special.
Well, we need to.
Yours was longer than mine.
Yes, well, she likes Cedar Glades Park, and I do too.
Well, we could almost give a proclamation to her at some point because if you never met her mother, and we would go to breakfast often. And her mother passed away 2 years ago, and she was 93, and she had only missed like 2 visits to the Bridge Club every day. She would go to the Bridge House and continue to play duplicate bridge every day. But she was a naturalist, but at the same time, Janice has been a force in Park Avenue and the Park Avenue Community Association, and that's how I first met her. She's also the one that pushed me the hardest to do this. But I really appreciate her comment, and she was very happy to see that, and I think it's going to be a positive and a win-win all the way around.
Any other discussions about this, about our 2-year goals or questions? No?
I would just like to express my appreciation to Mr. Frazier for providing the environment for us to have these discussions in an open forum. We had lots of good commentary.
Okay. All right. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Foley?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Ramick?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
It is adopted.
Adopted. The next item of business is to consider resolution number R1750. Council, please read the resolution by title.
Resolution R1750, a resolution adopting guiding values for the redevelopment of the former Majestic Hotel site. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Burrows again.
Thank you again, Mayor and members of the board. As mentioned a moment ago, the board's retreat held February 17, 2017, held 8 goals that the board had consensus on. This particular item is one of those goals. It was planning for the redevelopment of the former Majestic Hotel site. As one of those goals, review and discussion led to the development of values in which the mayor and the board of directors feel must be maintained in any future development. The values are as follows: enhance economic opportunities, improve the local quality of life and enhance the visitor experience, celebrate the natural wonder of our thermal water, respect the arts, culture, and history of Hot Springs. Any future development of the former Majestic Hotel site must be consistent with each of the aforementioned values. Thank you.
Questions, discussion?
I have a question. I've been asked by a couple of my constituents as to what the status is for, not just the status, but what is the process for developing that site. So can we get just a short update for the public on what that process really is going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. The Majestic site currently, we're in the process of getting the final approvals from ADEQ to get the Phase 2 work drawn up. They submitted initially a scope of work, and their ADEQ had a couple clarifications that they would like to have put into that larger scope of work. I called ADEQ this morning. They had received those revisions, so essentially we should see that Phase 2 starting within the next probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks, weather depending. What the Phase 2 will do, you'll have, that's where the sampling and the groundwater soil sampling, there will be approximately 12 to 15 borings. That's for the water sampling. There'll also be some soil sampling done throughout the site. One, to ensure that any of the harmful substances, the hazardous waste that was present has been remediated and removed from that site. So that's what that Phase 2 work will do. Phase 2 will tell us essentially, is the property clean and safe for redevelopment? And that's where we move into the next phase, which is kind of the more exciting and funner phase, as opposed to dealing with regulators at ADEQ and EPA. That's where we'll move in with Kansas State. I've got a phone call in the morning to finalize a couple of dates with the University of Memphis, their School of Architecture, their landscape architecture department, to be specific, and with the University of Arkansas, Fay Jones School of Architecture. They will also be providing some assistance to us through that process. So we're getting very close to, 1, getting the Phase 2 underway, and then 2, starting the redevelopment phase.
So from an input standpoint, we are resolved to get the input from the National Park,
Absolutely.
University of Arkansas, downtown merchants. Those are the biggest stakeholders in that area, and then the public in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think
That's correct.
Thank you.
And one thing that's important to remember too, we want to make sure we know what the clean bill, what level of approval is going to ultimately be granted under these regulations, because that will inform greatly what's possible there.
Okay.
And we're hoping that to have the highest level of clearance so that all things that we can dream about are possible there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions?
Could I add,
Yes.
For the trip to Washington, I had requested Mr. Frazier and Mr. Fram if I could have an opportunity to visit the National Endowment for the Arts. And right now we have a meeting set up with Mr. Frazier, myself, Mary Nielsen, and Don Gooch. The reason behind that is I heard our new NEA chairwoman, Jane Chu, speak in Little Rock 2 years ago. And over a period of 10 years, the National Endowment for the Arts funded over $13 million in the creative corridor downtown on Main Street in Little Rock. So that's what we're having the meeting about, and they're finding different representatives from different departments within National Endowment for the Arts to speak to us. Keep your fingers crossed that nothing happens to that. I did just receive a letter as to how much money comes into Arkansas annually to this, and we certainly receive a lot here in Garland County. But you cannot get funding for a building to build or to refurbish. However, architectural fees, planning fees, design fees, all of that, we could get grant money for that. So that's sort of where we're going to look at options for the Majestic and the downtown facilities and the Malvern Gateway.
Yes.
And how do you know Miss Chu?
She sat in my art class when I taught in Arkadelphia.
That's right. And the national
one
director
of
is
the-
from Arkadelphia.
One of the guiding values is Director Davidson is going to get all the funding for this, right?
No. It has to be a city partnership. No. We're actually going to suggest that the nonprofit be the Hot Springs Area Cultural Alliance, since it represents the majority of arts organizations.
Okay, any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Davidson,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
It is adopted.
The next item of business is to consider resolution number R-1751. Council, please read the resolution by title.
Resolution R-1751, a resolution approving a bid to Coakley Company, Inc. For the 2017 wastewater collection system improvements project. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
Mr. Carnahan.
Our utility staff has identified 13 places in the city where we have sewer mains that are contributing to our inflow and infiltration problem, and they need to be rebuilt or rehabilitated. So we had our engineer draw up plans for those. We had a bid opening, 2 bidders, and the low bidder, our engineer is recommending that we award the contract to our low bidder, Coakley Company, in the amount of $661,980. And so this is part of our overall consent administrative order work, and it will be paid for from the 2013 wastewater bond fund that we still have money available there. So, any questions?
Larry, how much money do we have in the wastewater bond fund after this project?
Remaining? About $3 million is all we have remaining. We've just about spent that $40 million bond project. Well, not spent, but committed.
Okay.
And so, anyway, we'll be coming to you again soon with another wastewater pipeline replacement project that we need to work on over in the Whittington north part of town area.
And the reason that you haven't gone for the bigger amount of bond funds much earlier was because you found that by just taking it steps at a time, you're able to find other ways to do things?
Well, we have targeted the consent administrative order was specifically targeted because we had identified sewer system overflows. And we were under a mandate from the Environmental Protection Agency to eliminate those wet weather overflows. So we have targeted all of our work toward eliminating those overflows, and we actually have eliminated them, and we have this additional work. We're just, wherever we can, we're trying to continue. It's a large system, so we're continuing to eliminate, to replace. Just like we have the leaky water main program where we're replacing old leaky water mains, we're also replacing old sewer mains in the city and where we can to make our system tighter and so on. And we'll also be talking to you as we just awarded part of this also affects the wastewater treatment plant. And you all just approved almost a $9 million project at the wastewater treatment plant. And we'll be, as time goes on, we'll be continuing to bring other projects to you. Even if we are released from the consent administrative order, we need to discipline ourselves and not be disciplined by the Environmental Protection Agency to stay on track of finding issues in the city that need to be taken care of and then systematically budgeting to have those repaired.
Okay, thank you.
Here, I think it's worth mentioning that the CAO was an unfunded mandate.
There you go.
So that's something
that
the citizens of Hot Springs have paid for.
Yes, sir.
Unlike what's happening in Fort Smith right now.
Yeah.
Director Foley, one other mention on that. Wastewater projects typically have to be done in a linear fashion, and with revenue bonds, we have to have that spent within 3 years. So we kind of have to pull that money down in segments as we can complete the work and meet that particular time frame.
Okay. I mean, I know we have a lot more work to do. I was wondering why we didn't take advantage early on with a bond issue that was much larger with the rates down. But I understand now that if you've got to do it within 3 years, you can't get it all done. Thank you.
Mr. Carnahan, any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
It's adopted.
It is adopted. The next item of business is to consider resolutions number R 1752 through 57, which are condemnations of property. Council, please proceed.
Mayor, we'll wait for Mr. Scott to set up his.
Patty's.
Oh,
Patty's going to do them.
it's easy.
Good evening. I'm Patty Thomas, the Neighborhood Services Manager, and I would like to make an opening statement. Condemnation is our last resort in redeeming vacant nuisance structures. Before a property is presented to the board for condemnation, a neighborhood inspector makes numerous attempts in person, by mail, in extreme cases by employing attorney ad litem to find and then work with the owner. Sometimes our efforts are fruitless, such as when our owners live out of state, have no interest in maintaining or rehabilitating nuisance property. A nuisance property threatens quality of life for neighbors, makes a block less desirable to potential residents or investors, and may decrease property values. Our goal is to nurture fragile neighborhoods. Tonight, we ask the Board of Directors to approve condemnation of certain nuisance properties whose owners are unreachable, uncooperative, or lack means to perform needed repairs. Now I'm moving on to the first one.
Are you ready to go with your slides? Okay. I'm going to read it first.
Okay.
First item is agenda item 17, to consider resolution R 1752. This is a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 124 Oklahoma Street. Mayor, if you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
It's Feasy.
The title search is done on this property. The owner signed a demo waiver. This property belongs to Gospel Mission Church of Christ, and at this time they don't have enough money to develop, but hoping in near future they may be able to.
Any questions or comments from Ms. Feasy? Anyone here to speak in opposition of resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 124 Oklahoma Street? 124 Oklahoma Street.
Have anyone signed up for any of them?
I'm still going to call for them if you don't mind. I've been stung before.
Okay.
So, Mayor, hearing none, if you would, please call
Okay.
for the roll.
Please call the roll.
Davidson,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Next item is agenda item number 18. Consider resolution number R 1753, resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 202 Clara Street. Mayor, that concludes your reading. If you would, please entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Feasy.
Cece?
202 Clara, the title search has been completed. This was a burnt mobile home that has already been demoed due to the fact that it was an imminent danger. The owner signed a demo waiver, and the owner is planning to replace with a new manufactured home.
Any questions or comment from the board?
The owner is planning to replace this.
Going to move it out. I
He's,
think he's going to put a new.
Yes,
Mobile.
that has already been removed.
oh,
And-
it already, okay, never mind.
Yes,
Was this occupied at the time of the fire?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Anyone here to speak in opposition of resolution R 1753, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 202 Clara Street? 202 Clara Street. Hearing none, Mayor, if you would call for the roll.
Please call the roll.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Is adopted.
Next item is 19. Consider resolution R 1754, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 357 Molly Springs Road. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, please entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion.
Motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second? Okay.
357 Molly Springs, the title search is complete. This is a burnt structure that hasn't been demoed yet. The owner has signed a demo waiver. Due to the fact that this property is in a floodplain, the owner won't be able to rebuild per cost being more expensive.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Is that snow on the hill back there?
It was.
Well, there's only one day that could have been made this year.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Anyone here to speak in opposition of Resolution R-1754, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 357 Molly Springs Road? 357 Molly Springs Road. Hearing none, Mayor, if you would please call for the roll.
Please call the roll.
Ramick.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Is adopted.
Agenda item 20 is to consider Resolution R-1755, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 502 Beard Street. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would please entertain a motion second to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Feasy.
502 Beard, the title search has been done and the owner has been verified. This was a burnt structure that had to be demoed because of the danger of collapsing. Owner doesn't have funds at this time to rebuild.
Okay, just for clarification, the title search has been done and the owner's been verified. Has the owner been notified?
Yes.
So you have a return receipt from them.
Yes, we do.
Any questions from the board? Anyone here to speak in opposition of Resolution R-1755, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 502 Beard Street? 502 Beard Street. Hearing none, Mayor, if you would please call for the roll.
Folly.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
It's adopted.
Item 21 is to consider resolution number R-1756, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069. This is 705 Illinois Street. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would please entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Ms. Feasy.
705 Illinois, the title search is complete. The owner signed a demo waiver for the city to remove. The owner is considered donating the property to a housing project.
Any questions or comments from the board? Anyone here to speak in opposition of Resolution R-1756, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 705 Illinois Street? 705 Illinois Street. Hearing none, Mayor, if you would please call the roll.
Davidson.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
It's adopted.
Item 22, consider Resolution R-1757, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069, 1213 Spring Street. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion.
I move for adoption of this resolution.
Second.
I have a
12.
question. Excuse me, I have a question. This is the sixth property. How many of these properties are in-town owners?
Oh, good question. Probably less than half.
Yeah. Not many.
Actually, all the owners are in town
Thank
on
you.
these.
Thank you.
That's unusual.
Yeah.
Tell us about 1213 Spring.
1213 Spring, the title search is complete. This was a burnt structure that has already been demoed due to imminent danger. The owner signed a demo waiver. The owner has contacted me several times. I may be putting a manufactured home on the property. I don't think it's in the overlay district, though, but they have called several times and seeing if maybe they could rebuild on it.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board in light of that? Anyone here to speak in opposition of Resolution R-1757, a resolution condemning certain real property pursuant to ordinance number 6069 at 1213 Spring Street? 1213 Spring Street. Hearing none, Mayor, if you would please call for the roll.
I do have a question. For people who are having a property condemned and torn down by the city, what is their status if they decide they want to put a home on it? Do we have a lien on the property, or
Depends
us?
on whether we've demolished the structure or not. If we've gone that far, then yes, we have a lien on the property for the cost of the demolition.
And so can they build on the property without satisfying the lien?
depends on whether they're borrowing money to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Stopped.
Next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01714. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title only. All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Council, please read the ordinance by title.
Ordinance 01714, an ordinance amending ordinance number 4638, an ordinance prescribing a method for the rotation of the assistant mayor position among the membership of the Board of Directors by amending Section 1 and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
I move for adoption, Madam Mayor.
A second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
All in favor on the motion?
Oh, all in favor. Sorry.
Aye.
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 Aye. We're kind of out of sync
There-
there.
Yeah. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. As the board is aware, ordinance number 4638 prescribes the method by which the rotation of the assistant mayor takes place. Given the current circumstances where we don't have a sitting mayor, we have an assistant mayor serving in that capacity, and the fact that things like this might come up in the future again, Director Williams suggested that we take a look at Arkansas Code Annotated Section 14-47-118, which authorizes the Board of Directors to designate one of its members as acting mayor to serve during the absence or disability of both the mayor and the assistant mayor. The proposed ordinance would do just that by providing that should that occurrence happen, that the next assistant mayor in order would then act as the acting mayor during that disability or that absence, but no longer than that. It would not affect the normal rotation or the upcoming terms of the assistant mayor position.
Do I have a motion to amend?
To amend?
The motion is already on the floor to amend the existing ordinance, correct?
Okay.
That's what it is. Yeah,
Yes.
This ordinance amends the old ordinance,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So if there's discussion.
Is there discussion?
There's
Okay.
nothing, call the roll.
Please call the roll.
Ramick, Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
It's adopted.
Okay. Board comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is the period for Board of Directors comments. Anybody? Yes.
I would just like to thank Mr. Frazier for the year-end report, or State of the City report. We really have accomplished a lot, and we tend to forget all the stuff that happens that really benefits this community over time. And so just the short reminder that he gave us today makes you proud to be a part of the City of Hot Springs and proud to be a board member, too. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
David has
you.
something else to pass
That's
out.
a perfect segue into my amended report, because I didn't have, these books are so hot off the press, I literally didn't have them when I gave my initial report. So my memory is jogged back to a time when I was here interviewing, and Director Williams asked me a question about the budget. And I think with Mr. Watkins passing, I know Mr. Burrow had one or two things to do besides a fancy budget book, and just keeping the city running was an amazing accomplishment on his part. And so there wasn't much analysis. Remember, I had commented on that it was a kind of a consolidation of spreadsheets. And so we have this really pretty, and I got to thank Doretha. Amazing job. Thank you for this beautiful budget book. And it's complete with easy to read little tabs on here, so you can find stuff. There is some analysis in here. This budget book is prepping us to launch into a 2-year budget and eventually apply for a Government Finance Officers Award for excellence in budget reporting. We already get that award for our CAFR, and that's a long-standing accomplishment of the city, but this is another milestone. We haven't had an actual official budget book in almost a decade. It's been 9 years since you had one of these. So I want to hand these out to the board members. These are also available to the public, and they'll be posted on our website tomorrow electronically to tomorrow afternoon, so those are available. I think there are 2 this way and 3 this way.
Thank you.
Is this also, excuse me, does this also reside on the internet?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
So that's one more, I guess Donald Trump is counting his promises kept, and that's one I'm going to count. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, this concludes the business section of tonight's meeting. Immediately following the adjournment of tonight's business meeting, there will be a public commentary here in the board chambers. For those of you who will be leaving after adjournment, please do so quietly. Thank you for your time this evening. There being no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.